Baby, you better sit your behind down for this one. I ain't playing. This story gonna make your heart skip, your hands shake, and your mouth drop. I'm Granny Tina, and you done landed on Voices of Granny Tina, the spot where family secrets, love, and betrayal get called out loud and clear. Now, you better hit that subscribe button, child, 'cause if you miss this story, you gonna be crying and wishing you had. I've seen grown folks weep over these truths. Don't be the one sittin' there sayin', I wish I had listened. Nope. Not you. Child, sit yourself down and don't you move a muscle, 'cause what I'm about to tell you, oh honey, it'll make your chest tighten, your palms sweat, and your mind start spinning. Secrets, they don't stay buried forever. They sneak. They linger. They creep up behind you when you least expect it, and sometimes, they hit you in the heart with no warning. Let me take you back, way back. There was a girl named Dina. Baby, she was just 17, hair tangled from life, eyes full of dreams and fear all at once. She carried a secret in her womb, one that wasn't hers to keep, but one that the world made her face before she even knew what love truly meant. That baby? That baby was gonna change everything. But Dina, bless her heart, didn't know how. She didn't know who she could trust, who would hold her when the tears fell, or how the world would look at her when they found out. Now, let me stop right here for a second. Don't you go thinking this is some simple story of a girl making a mistake. Oh no, baby. This story? This is heavy. This story smells of betrayal, love, secrets, and choices that will haunt your soul if you don't sit down and listen. You feel me? Good. Keep your ears right here, 'cause Granny Tina don't repeat herself, and I got a lot to lay on you. Dina made a choice, child. A gut-wrenching, tear-falling, sleepless night kinda choice. She gave her baby away. Now, I know what you're thinking. Granny Tina, how could she? Baby, hush. Don't judge yet. I've seen grown folks do things in the heat of survival, in the shadow of fear, in moments when the weight of life feels heavier than your own heartbeat. And Dina, she made that choice out of love in the only way she knew how. And that's where I come in. I was the one who took that baby. Me, Granny Tina. Not because it was easy, honey. Not because I had nothing better to do. No, child, I took him because I knew what it was like to love someone with your whole chest and have the world try to steal them from you. That baby became mine in every sense that mattered. I raised him with prayers whispered at midnight, hands calloused from midnight feeds and sleepless nights, and a heart that carried not just love, but responsibility that could crush you if you let it. Oh, but don't think for a second that was all. No, no, no. Raising a child that isn't biologically yours? It comes with a quiet sort of burden. The kind that presses down on your shoulders, whispering in your ear that every mistake, every choice, every wrong step could break a life you swore to protect. And protect him I did. Every scraped knee, every tear, every heartbreak I tried to shield from the world. But baby, secrets, they never stay hidden as long as you want them to. Now let me tell you something. The thing about children, especially children raised in love, is they grow up with pieces of you embedded in them. Every laugh, every frown, every lesson. And sometimes, just sometimes, those pieces have a way of leading you to a moment you never saw coming. That moment? Oh, we ain't there yet, child. But it's coming. And you're gonna feel every pulse of it like it's hitting your own chest. Back to Dina, she didn't know what happened to that baby after she let him go. She didn't know who held him, who loved him, who kissed his tiny forehead when he cried in the dark. She thought the world had swallowed him whole. And I watched her life unfold from a distance, praying silently, wondering if one day the past would reach out and smack us both in the face. You feel that tension, child? That quiet thrum that tells you something ain't right, but you don't know what it is yet? That's what we living with here. Baby, this story? It ain't about blame. It ain't about pointing fingers. It's about survival. It's about choices made when the world leaves you no room for hesitation. It's about love and loss and a secret buried so deep that even I wondered if the earth itself could hold it forever. And let me tell you, sometimes, child, the truth don't need your permission to rise. Sometimes it just comes knocking, and honey, you better be ready to answer. But don't go anywhere yet. This is just the beginning. See, the thing about stories like these is they sneak up on you. They tiptoe in quiet at first, all hush-hush, and then, one revelation after another, shaking you right down to your soul. And honey, Granny Tina don't do small shocks. I do the big ones. The ones that make grown folks cry. The ones that make you clutch your chest and whisper, Lord, no. Lord, no. So, here's what I need you to do. Right now, hit that subscribe button. Don't wait. Don't say, I'll do it later. Child, if you miss this story, you gon' regret it. You'll be sitting in your room, nights filled with curiosity and unanswered questions, thinking, Granny Tina told it, but I didn't listen. Don't be that one. Be ready. Be prepared. Be right here, right now. Tomorrow, when we dive deeper, I'll tell you about the first time Dina unknowingly touched the life of that baby she gave away. I'll tell you about the quiet ways he grew, the laughter and tears we shared, the hidden signs that the universe had been setting up this moment for years. And baby, I promise you, what happens next will make you clutch your seat, lean in, and swear you feel every heartbeat alongside us. But for now, we linger. We let the wind whisper through the rooms of memory. We let the waves crash on the shores of what was, what is, and what's about to hit like a hurricane in ways no one could foresee. And we wait. Baby, Granny Tina loves suspense, and honey, I'm about to make you love it too. Remember, secrets don't stay buried. And when they rise, they don't come quiet. Oh no. They come loud, they come sharp, and they come with a truth that'll burn through everything you thought you knew. So settle in. Grab your tea, your blanket, whatever you need. And stay close. Granny Tina's story is just starting, and honey, you ain't ready for the storm that's about to hit. Child, let me tell you something about raising a child in silence. Not the kind of quiet where you just hush them when they're playing. No, baby, I'm talking about a silence that presses down on your chest so heavy, it makes you question if you even got lungs left to breathe. You see, raising my son, the one Dina gave up, meant carrying a secret bigger than the tallest walls in this neighborhood. A secret that could shatter not only my world, but his too, if it ever came out. From the moment I took him into my arms, I knew this life wouldn't be simple. Oh, I loved him. Don't get it twisted. I loved that boy with every heartbeat I had, every prayer whispered in the dark when the house was asleep. But love alone, child, don't make life easy. Love alone don't pay bills. Love alone don't protect a child from whispers, judgment, and the sharp edges of a world that will gladly tear you apart if you let it. You see, people talk. Folks in the neighborhood, they always know something. They don't know everything, but they sense. They see a woman with a boy and start crafting stories that feel louder than any words. Who's the father? Why don't she have a man? That boy too polished, too quiet, too something. And honey, you better believe I heard it all. But I kept my lips sealed. I swallowed the questions. I smiled through the glares. I held my son tighter and whispered to him, baby, this world don't need to know everything about us. Just know who we are and let the rest stay in the shadows. Raising him was a careful dance. I couldn't let curiosity slip into his heart too soon. I couldn't allow him to hear the wrong words, stumble across the wrong truths. I had to be the calm in a storm he didn't even know was raging. Every question about his father, I deflected. Every poke from a neighbor, I smiled and nodded. Every innocent remark about adoption or birth, I answered with love, never explanation. But baby, let me tell you something. The weight of a secret doesn't stay quiet. It hums. It vibrates. It twists in your chest like a vine around your ribs. Every time I looked at him, saw his smile, heard his laugh, I felt the secret pulse between us. I wondered if the day would come when the universe would force the truth into the light. And I knew, when it did, it would come roaring. Now, don't get it twisted, child. Life wasn't all heavy. We had moments. Oh, we had moments. I watched him learn to walk across the living room floor, tiny feet padded in socks, eyes wide and curious. I watched him stack blocks, topple them, and start all over again. I watched him fall asleep with his little hands clutching his blanket, and I whispered every prayer I knew, asking God to protect him from the world and the secrets it would one day uncover. But every day brought its own tension. The family, my siblings, my mama, even cousins, had eyes that lingered too long, questions they asked in tones too soft to resist. I smiled. I nodded. I passed off any suspicion as gossip. He's just a quiet boy, I said. He takes after me. And child, they believed it, for a while. But the tension never left the room. You could feel it humming in the corners, twisting around furniture, pressing against the walls. School was another battlefield. Children are merciless, and parents can be worse. Questions about where he came from, why he looked different from some cousins, why we didn't talk about his father, they came like daggers. And honey, I taught him young, always answer with dignity, never bitterness. If someone tried to dig too deep, deflect, redirect, walk away. Protect yourself, protect your truth. And every day I watched him do it, I felt pride and fear in the same breath. Pride because he was learning strength early. Fear because I knew the day would come when strength alone wouldn't protect him. Then came the community judgment. Oh, the judgment, child. Folks would smile at you, whisper behind hands, nod like they knew the full story when they knew nothing. That's not her child, some would say. Look at that boy, he doesn't belong. I smiled. I nodded. I let the whispers roll off me like water on a duck's back. But baby inside? My chest tightened every single time. Every chuckle, every sideways glance, every quiet mutter from someone who thought they knew, it built a cage around me, tighter with every year. But I wasn't raising him in silence just to survive the world outside. I was raising him in silence to protect the truth, child. That secret, it was sacred. And I knew if it ever leaked, if Dina ever found herself face to face with him, well, honey, the fallout would shake us to the very soul. I had nightmares about it. Nightmares where she walked into our lives, eyes wide, recognizing pieces she had thought buried. Nightmares where the boy, my son, looked at her with questions I couldn't answer. Nightmares where the whole world crumbled from a single revelation. And then there were moments of tenderness, hidden in plain sight. I watched him grow taller than me, stronger, wiser, more cautious. I guided him in schoolwork, taught him right from wrong, shielded him from petty cruelties that children throw at one another without thinking. I prepared him for life, honey, but I also prepared him for a truth he couldn't know yet. Every bedtime story had a lesson. Every hug had a prayer. Every kiss on the forehead whispered, one day, you'll know why, and it won't break you, baby. It will make you stronger. Sometimes, I'd catch him looking at me with those eyes too knowing, eyes that seemed to sense more than they should. And I'd catch my breath, whispering under my breath, not yet. Not yet, baby. Let it wait. Let it grow. 'Cause secrets, honey, they grow teeth when you reveal them too soon. They bite. They wound. And I loved him too much to let him get bit by the world's sharp edges before he was ready. But here's the thing, child, raising a son in silence doesn't mean hiding the truth forever. Oh no. It means building him, shaping him, teaching him resilience, love, dignity, and patience while knowing the storm is coming. And honey, that storm, it was closer than I ever wanted to admit. Every smile he flashed, every step he took into the world, I wondered, when will the day come that Dina steps back into our lives? And when it does, will he be ready? Will I be ready? Every birthday, every milestone, every whispered, I love you, carried the weight of history, the weight of lives intertwined in ways they could never imagine. And baby, the tension, it wasn't just between me and the secret. It was between the walls, the neighbors, the quiet glances in church, the polite questions at family dinners. The tension was everywhere, pressing, waiting. And every day, I felt it tightening like a rope around my ribs. And the thing about secrets, child? They're alive. They breathe. They watch. They wait for the perfect moment to leap out from the shadows. And honey, let me tell you, I felt that heartbeat every single day I raised him. That secret was alive, and one day, it was gonna jump right out of the shadows and slap us both across the face. But not yet. Not today. Today, we had schoolwork, homework, laughter, small victories, scraped knees, midnight fears. Today, the world didn't know. Tomorrow, well, we just had to survive till tomorrow. Now let me remind you, baby, this is Granny Tina telling it like it is. You better sit down, hit that subscribe button, and stay right here. You don't want to be the one saying, Granny Tina told it, but I skipped it. Child, you'd regret that for life. Secrets like this, they demand attention. They demand your focus. And honey, we just getting started. Tomorrow we gonna see cracks start to show. The first signs that the past ain't done, that the universe has plans we ain't seen yet. And baby, when that storm hits, you gon' feel every heartbeat with us. Every gasp, every tear, every whispered prayer. And honey, Granny Tina don't do half measures. This story's gon' sting. So hold on. Hold tight. And remember, silence can be powerful, but secrets, they always find a way to roar. Child, sit down and hold on tight, because this chapter will tug at your heart, make you squirm, make you question everything you thought you knew about destiny. Now, you remember Dina, don't you? My daughter-in-law, though back then she was just as scared, trembling 17-year-old, carrying a baby in her arms and a world full of decisions she didn't ask for. Yes, honey, 17. Barely a woman, barely a girl, standing at the edge of her life with that tiny life she thought she could never raise. After she made that gut-wrenching decision to give her baby up, my son, the one I raised, the world didn't just move on for her. No, baby, it carved lines into her heart, left marks deeper than anyone else could see. She carried that choice every single day. It shaped her, molded her, whispered in her ear at the most unexpected times. You see, child, you don't just give a child away and walk away unscathed. Oh no. That's a chain that wraps around your soul, and sometimes it ain't until years later that you feel the weight press full force. Adolescence hit her hard. Life as a young girl who'd been forced into adult decisions is no joke. School became a battlefield. She carried herself with a kind of quiet determination that some folks mistook for pride, some for coldness. But baby, it was survival. She buried her longing deep. Longing for the baby she gave away. Longing for a family she couldn't have. Longing for the innocence that the world had snatched from her. And every friend, every boyfriend, every smile she offered? Honey, it was layered with ghosts she didn't talk about. Her career became both refuge and battleground. She threw herself into work anywhere she could. Jobs that required precision, that demanded attention, that let her control something for once in her life. Each paycheck, each promotion, each small victory was a way to tell herself, I am enough. I can survive. I can rise. But baby, there were nights, oh Lord, there were nights when she'd sit in her apartment, the city lights glaring through windows like judgmental eyes, and she'd touch her belly or her hands and remember the tiny fingers, the soft cries, the life she never got to cradle through the dark hours. Now, let me tell you something else about Dina, child. She wasn't reckless, but she wasn't blind to love either. Relationships came, went, and sometimes stuck just enough to teach lessons. There were men who promised the world, men who couldn't see the scars she carried. She dated with caution, but baby, you can't outrun the heart. And though she built walls, she longed for something more, something bigger than what she had, something that could stitch the pieces together. She wanted love, yes, but she wanted truth. And oh, child, the universe was listening, even if she didn't know it yet. Family, too, played its part. Oh, the silent judgments, the whispered questions, the probing about her life, her choices, her baby, yes, the baby she gave away. They never said it loud, honey, but you could feel it in the tone, the glance, the pause between words. They expected her to move on. They expected her to forgive herself, to forget, to live a life free of the burden she bore. And child, she tried. Lord, she tried. She excelled. She smiled. She laughed. She pretended, like the world around her didn't hold a secret that could destroy her if it ever surfaced. But baby, let me tell you, secrets, they're funny like that. They have a way of finding their way back into the light. They have a way of steering destiny when you least expect it. And Dina, child, Dina's destiny had already started weaving threads she couldn't see yet. Fast forward a little, and Dina is in her 20s now, standing on her own 2 feet. She's beautiful, strong, learned to walk the line between caution and desire. She met men, dated them, fell in love, sometimes wholeheartedly, sometimes holding back just enough so her heart wouldn't be stolen. She traveled, worked, celebrated, grieved, and laughed. She built herself, layer by careful layer, and in doing so, she grew. She was a woman shaped by love, loss, and the weight of a secret she thought she had buried deep enough to never feel again. But here's where it gets sticky, honey. You see, Dina, in all her life's twists, didn't know that life had a sense of irony sharper than a surgeon's scalpel. She didn't know that the very child she had given away, the child she mourned silently for nights that stretched long and heavy, was living, thriving, being raised in the arms of someone she trusted, someone she would never suspect. And the twist, child, oh Lord, the twist is the kind that makes you gasp, the kind that makes you clutch your chest. Because one day, honey, the universe, in its infinite mischief, decided to drop her into his path. Her past, her present, her secret, all converging in a moment she didn't see coming. And child, I ain't talking some small coincidence. I'm talking a collision so powerful, so wrapped in irony and fate, that it would make your heart skip beats, your palms sweat, your stomach tie itself in knots. And baby, I watched it all unfold from the shadows, knowing the secret I carried, feeling the tension coil around my chest, knowing full well that when their eyes met, something would stir. Something deep. Something unspoken. Something that even she couldn't explain at first. That longing, that emptiness, that unfulfilled piece of her soul, it would rise up like a tide she could not resist. Child, Dina thought she was just dating a man. She thought she was living her life, moving past the ghost of the child she gave away. But little did she know, that man, my son, was the very heartbeat she had mourned without knowing it. The very hands she had wished to hold, the very laughter she had dreamed of hearing. And honey, the universe doesn't waste opportunities. It sets the stage, lines the shadows, waits for the curtain to rise, and when it does, oh Lord, child, the drama explodes. By the time the fateful encounter happened, yes, that accidental bump, that chance meeting, they were both caught in a web spun long before either of them knew it existed. And baby, that web would tighten, twist, and snap in ways that neither of them could prepare for. And here's the kicker, child, just a few months later, when my son had that accident and was admitted to the hospital, Dina came to visit. Oh Lord, I could feel the tension like static in the air. And when I saw her face, child, the recognition hit like lightning, the birthmark she shared with him, the same birthmark she had passed to him unknowingly. That's when the floodgates broke. She collapsed in tears. Old secrets, buried deep, resurfaced like waves crashing over a cliff. Years of longing, guilt, unspoken love, unspoken regret, they all came rushing at us, uninvited and unstoppable. And baby, that moment, right there, that collapse, that's when the past, present, and future collided. That's when the story, our story, took a turn into a storm that would leave no soul untouched. So now, child, you better hold on tight, because we're just getting started. Every chapter, every heartbeat, every tear, every whisper of regret, it all leads to that moment. And Granny Tina? I promise you, I'm gonna take you through it with all the drama, suspense, and heart you can handle. And baby, if you ain't hit that subscribe button yet, you better do it now, because stories like this, they don't wait for nobody. You gone miss it, and honey, you don't want to be that one saying, Granny Tina told me, but I skipped it. Tomorrow, we step into the storm. And baby, the storm is just warming up. Child, let me tell you, the universe has a way of throwing people together when you least expect it, when your heart is still carrying old ghosts and your mind has convinced you you're finished with surprises. Dina, my sweet, strong, beautiful daughter-in-law, didn't know it yet, but destiny had lined up a meeting she'd never forget. And baby, when it happened, Lord, the air itself seemed to hush, like the world was holding its breath. It was a warm afternoon. The kind of day where the sun pours golden light across the streets, where the breeze carries the scent of flowers and distant summer rain. Dina was walking down that familiar neighborhood street, arms full of grocery bags, her phone tucked under her chin as she balanced it with her shoulder, laughing softly at something her friend had texted. She wasn't looking for anything unusual. She wasn't expecting surprises. She was just living her life. And there he was. My son. The child she gave away, raised in my arms, nurtured, loved, and guided through life with a mother's care, though she didn't know she had been a mother in the first place. He stepped out of his apartment building, tying his shoes, headphones around his neck, unaware that the woman approaching would unknowingly knock his world off its axis. Now, honey, let me tell you something about moments like this. The kind of encounter that feels like it has been stitched into the fabric of fate. Dina's eyes lifted. My son's eyes lifted. Their gaze met. And child, I swear, time slowed. The world muted. There was this subtle recognition neither of them could name. Something unspoken, almost spiritual, whispered in their bones. It wasn't just attraction, it was a pull, deep, undeniable, like the tide itself reaching for the shore. Dina smiled politely, the kind of smile people give when they're unsure if they recognize someone, but want to be polite anyway. Hi, she said softly, voice smooth, but with a hint of curiosity. Hi, he answered, adjusting the strap of his backpack, his voice calm, warm, but holding that subtle undercurrent of something magnetic. That's when the irony hit like a gut punch. Neither knew what lay beneath that hello. Neither knew that this casual greeting was layered with years of hidden history. And baby, let me tell you, irony in life is a cruel, mischievous thing. They started talking, naturally at first, about the weather, about the little cafe down the street, about mundane things that people discuss when they first meet. But honey, child, you know how conversation works when fate has its claws in it. The words feel heavier, the pauses longer, the laughter sweeter, and every glance loaded with an energy neither can explain. Every small coincidence felt like destiny nudging them closer. Over the next few weeks, their paths crossed again and again, like a script written by someone who knew every heartbeat in advance. They laughed together, lingered at doors, shared coffee, exchanged stories that made the other lean closer without realizing it. There was chemistry, yes, but more than that, there was resonance. A deep, almost aching familiarity that neither of them could put into words. And honey, child, Dina, bless her heart, had no idea who he truly was. She didn't know that every laugh she shared, every soft glance, every brush of a hand was stirring the very boy she had once given life to. My son, oh Lord, he felt it too. He felt a pull he couldn't name, a connection that made him look twice, a strange warmth in the pit of his chest when she smiled. And child, I watched it all with clenched teeth and a racing heart, knowing the truth that neither of them suspected. Now here's where Tyler Perry-style drama kicks in, child. Because life doesn't just stop at coincidences. Life likes to build suspense, likes to stretch the tension until it snaps, likes to mix humor with heartbreak until your heart is singing and screaming at the same time. Dina and my son, they were stepping into that tension. They didn't know it, but honey, each shared coffee, each late-night phone call, each casual text was drawing them deeper into a story that had been written long before either of them walked this earth. One afternoon, child, they went to a local bookshop. Dina was browsing a shelf of novels, fingers brushing the spines, lost in thought. He came around the corner, balancing a cup of coffee, headphones around his neck, that magnetic pull making his steps slower, deliberate. Their eyes met again, and child. I swear, the air itself seemed to catch. "Hey," he said, soft, careful. "Hey," she replied, voice catching slightly, though she didn't know why. They talked, honey. About books. About music. About life. About moments they'd cherished. But in the spaces between their words, the tension hummed. There was laughter that lingered, glances that held too long, touches that seemed accidental but weren't. And child, I promise you, it was like the universe itself was smirking, watching, waiting for the moment when truth would eventually crash in. The irony, child, is that Dina's heart began to trust him without knowing why. She found herself opening up about dreams, about fears, about loneliness that she never spoke aloud. She shared pieces of herself she thought were safely buried. And oh Lord, my son, he listened, really listened, like he was piecing together a puzzle without knowing the picture was him. And baby, let me tell you, the suspense of it all? It was unbearable. Every touch, every laugh, every stolen glance was layered with tension. They were moving forward in a dance neither knew the steps to. Romance blossomed, slow and deliberate, with subtle hints of longing that made the heart ache. And honey, I watched, knowing the storm that awaited. One evening, child, they went for a walk by the lake. The sun was dipping low, casting gold across the water, the breeze stirring their hair, the birds calling softly. Dina laughed at something he said, her head thrown back, carefree. He smiled, heart full, eyes softening. They sat on a bench, shoulders brushing. Every moment was charged. Every heartbeat was a drum in the symphony of fate. And then, oh Lord, child, then, the irony reached its peak. They were laughing at something trivial, and Dina absent-mindedly raised her hand, revealing a small birthmark on her wrist. My son, honey, looked down, then back up, and the world stopped. Because, baby, that mark, that tiny, unassuming mark, matched a birthmark he had carried his whole life. It was subtle, almost unnoticeable to anyone else. But child, I felt the electricity from a mile away. That recognition, buried deep, struck like lightning. My heart jumped into my throat. And Dina, she didn't know, child, she didn't know yet what she was brushing against, what secrets were lying in the shadow of her own skin. Little did they know, every laugh, every stolen glance, every growing closeness was steering them toward a truth neither of them was ready for. And honey, Tyler Perry taught us, family drama is all about timing, suspense, and irony. It's about watching your characters dance on the edge of revelation, hearts full, unaware that the past is breathing down their necks, ready to leap forward. Child, I watched them part that evening, each lingering just a moment too long, each glance charged with a silent question. They didn't know it yet, but destiny had them entwined. Their romance had begun under the weight of a secret neither could see, yet it pulsed with a life of its own. And I knew the moment of revelation was closer than either of them imagined. So now, you see, honey, the tension is thick. The suspense is heavy. Every day, every encounter, every laugh builds the storm. And baby, when the truth finally erupts, it will hit like a hurricane. Every secret, every choice, every moment they ignored their instincts, child, it's all coming to collide. And let me tell you something, sweet soul, before we move to the next chapter, you better hit that subscribe button. Because stories like this, honey, stories like this don't come around twice. If you skip a chapter, if you close your eyes, if you scroll past child, you'll regret it when the storm finally breaks. You don't want to be that one saying, Granny Tina warned me, but I didn't listen. Tomorrow, we step even closer to truth. And baby, when Dina finally discovers who she's really been falling in love with. Lord have mercy, child, hearts will break, souls will tremble, and secrets will scream louder than ever. And that, honey, is the kind of story Granny Tina tells. Full of heart, full of suspense, full of twists you never see coming. Child, let me tell you something, love has a way of sneaking in through the cracks, Even when your soul knows the storm is coming. Even when your mind is screaming warnings you cannot speak aloud. That's exactly what was happening with Dina and my son. They were wrapped up in each other, laughter spilling into long evenings, hands brushing, hearts inching closer, while me, Granny Tina, I was standing there in the shadows, watching, heart pounding, carrying a secret heavy enough to crush mountains. It had been weeks since their first meeting, honey, and let me tell you, their chemistry was undeniable. It wasn't the kind of love that shouts from rooftops. No, child, it was subtle. It was quiet glances across a crowded room. The brush of fingers when reaching for the same plate of cookies at a bake sale. It was the shared laughter that lingered long after the joke had faded, the inside jokes that no one else understood. And every time they smiled at each other, I could see it, something deep, something almost spiritual, growing between them. But here's the thing, baby, I knew the truth. I knew who Dina had given up for adoption, and my heart. Lord, my heart was heavy. Watching them fall, unknowing, unprepared, it was like standing at the edge of a cliff, knowing the drop was coming, and praying they'd hold on. I wanted to warn her, to stop her, to pull her back before her world shattered. But child, Granny Tina knows something about timing. Some lessons are only learned when the heart is ready to bleed. Their days together were like soft music that wrapped around the house, humming through the hallways. They went for coffee, for walks in the park, and sometimes they just sat, side by side, letting the silence speak louder than words. Dina had grown comfortable with him, trusting him in ways that made me clutch my pearls in quiet fear. And my son, oh Lord, he was oblivious to the truth, but his heart had found a rhythm with hers, and that rhythm was intoxicating. Now, let's not sugarcoat it, child. There were moments, subtle little moments, that made Granny Tina's heart skip a beat. Like the way Dina laughed too hard at something he said, or how she rested her head lightly on his shoulder when she thought no one was watching. And him, honey, how he'd listen, really listen, nodding along as if every word she spoke was sacred. That child was love in its rawest, most unguarded form. But while the world saw blossoming romance, I saw the tension simmering beneath. Secrets were like shadows stretching long in the twilight, hiding where no one wanted to look. Every smile, every whispered "good night," every brush of hands carried danger. The audience, oh yes, honey, the audience knows, was sitting in the dark, holding their breath, knowing what the characters did not. And that, my dear, is how you keep people glued to the screen. Suspense. Dramatic irony. Heartache waiting at the next turn. One evening, child, they went for a drive. Just the two of them, windows down, wind tugging at their hair, the sun setting in hues of burnt gold and fiery pink. They talked about everything and nothing: dreams, childhood memories, favorite songs. The kind of talk that builds intimacy without even touching on the real stakes, the invisible strings tugging beneath the surface. And honey, as Granny Tina, I sat a block away, watching, feeling every laugh like it was mine to carry. They pulled into a small diner, cozy and quiet, a favorite spot tucked away from the world. The waitress barely noticed them, and they slid into a booth, hands brushing across the table. Every little glance, every hesitation, every smile was amplified by the unspoken tension I carried. And child, I knew it would only get heavier. They ate slowly, savoring the food but savoring each other more. Dina laughed at a memory she shared from high school, leaning in closer without knowing the truth she was sharing. And my son, he listened, eyes soft, heart open, completely unaware that the story she told, child, the story she told, was connected to the very blood he carried in his veins. Honey, in Tyler Perry fashion, drama is all about the moments that seem ordinary, but are laced with the extraordinary. Every laugh, every touch, every unguarded word built the storm. And that evening, the tension thickened. Dina mentioned a childhood mark, a birthmark, laughing about how she once thought it would make her unique. My heart clenched so hard, I could barely breathe. That mark, child, Lord have mercy, it was the same mark he bore. The subtlest, quietest clue, yet she had no idea. And my son? Oblivious. Completely unaware. And that, honey, is how suspense eats at the soul. Over the next few weeks, their romance deepened. Dinners became weekly rituals. Texts flew across screens at odd hours. Calls lingered long into the night. I watched them, each time feeling a mix of pride and fear. Pride for my son, for the man he had become, loving genuinely and without pretense. Fear for Dina, because secrets, child, have a way of unraveling when you least expect it. And I knew the moment was coming when the truth would explode like lightning. And while love was blooming, tension lurked in every small detail. A misplaced photograph in his apartment, a comment about childhood quirks, the faint scent of familiar perfumes lingering in the air. Every detail I noticed, every small echo of the past, was a thread in the tapestry I had been carefully weaving for years. But this thread, honey, was about to be tugged too hard. I tried to prepare myself, child. I rehearsed what I would say, how I would intervene, when the truth revealed itself. But here's the thing about watching young hearts entwine unaware. You can't step in too soon, or you ruin the rhythm. You have to let the story breathe, let the audience simmer, let the suspense curl around their necks like smoke. And honey, that's exactly what was happening. And let me tell you something, baby, there were little cracks appearing, tiny moments that could blow everything wide open. Like the way Dina once reached for a drink on his shelf, brushing against a photo of a baby I had kept hidden for years. Or the way my son mentioned a first memory he had, a moment Dina had shared vaguely in her youth. These coincidences, child, were enough to make Granny Tina's heart race, and enough to keep the audience glued, hanging on every line, every pause, every whispered sigh. Love was blossoming, yes, honey, but secrets lingered like shadows in the corners. Every kiss, every laugh, every hand held carried the weight of a story yet untold. The audience, bless them, could feel it, could see it, could almost reach through the screen and warn them, but the characters themselves remained blissfully unaware. And that, child, is the secret to keeping someone watching, leaning in, desperate to know what happens next. And here's where we leave it, sweet soul, love deepening, hearts intertwining, but shadows growing heavier by the day. Each smile is threaded with tension. Each embrace, honey, is laced with impending revelation. And me, Granny Tina? I am watching it all, holding my secret close, knowing the storm is coming, and knowing that when it hits, child, it will shake hearts, break trust, and expose truths that were buried long ago. So you see, honey, this is why you hit that subscribe button. Because stories like this, they don't just entertain, they warn, they teach, they make you feel every heartbeat, every breath, every secret. And child, if you walk away now, you'll miss the crescendo, the moment when hearts collide, when secrets scream, and when love is tested in ways you can't imagine. Don't be that one who says, Granny Tina, I should have listened. Tomorrow, we step closer to revelation, to heartbreak, and to the kind of truth that doesn't forgive easily. And baby, you better believe it, Dina is walking right into it, love blind, heartful, secrets ready to burst. And that, child, is how Granny Tina tells a story. Suspense, love, irony, heartbreak, all stitched together, with hearts hanging in the balance and the audience aching to know what happens next. Child, let me tell you something, life don't wait for no one, and just when hearts feel light, fate swoops in like a storm ready to tear down everything you thought was safe. That's exactly what happened to my son. One minute, he's laughing, sipping his coffee, teasing Dina with that charming grin of his, and the next, child, the next, life decided to slap us with reality. It was a Tuesday afternoon, ordinary as could be. The sun was hanging heavy over the neighborhood, birds singing lazy tunes, and me, Granny Tina, I was in the kitchen, minding my own business, humming a hymn, when the phone rang. My heart stopped the moment I saw his name flashing on the screen. Something in my chest clenched, cold and hard. Call it a mother's intuition, call it years of carrying secrets, but I knew before I answered that something was wrong. The voice on the other end was shaky, nearly breaking with panic. "Ma'am, it's your son. He's been in an accident. We've rushed him to the hospital. He needs you here immediately." Child, my knees buckled. I dropped the phone onto the counter, hands trembling, knocking over a glass of water that shattered on the tile. The sound didn't register. All I could hear was the roar of my own heartbeat pounding like a war drum. And Dina. Lord, child, Dina. I grabbed my keys, threw on a coat, and ran out the door. The wind whipped against my face, but it couldn't mask the dread crawling up my spine. Every second felt like eternity. Every passing car, every blink of traffic lights, I swear they were mocking me, reminding me how fragile life is. At the hospital, chaos had settled into the sterile white halls. Nurses were rushing, monitors were beeping, doctors moving with that sharp efficiency only hospitals possess when someone's life hangs in the balance. I followed the orderly directions, heart hammering, feet barely keeping pace. And there, sitting in the waiting room, hands clasped tight, face pale, eyes wide with fear, was Dina. Child, the sight of her there, trembling, broke me in two. I wanted to grab her, shake her, tell her it was going to be all right, but Granny Tina knows better than to speak too soon. Too much, too fast can shatter the soul even more. So I stayed back, watching, measuring every breath, every tear, every quiver in her jaw. When the nurse finally came out, she had that clipboard clutched like a shield. "He's stable, but it was serious. He needs rest, observation, and care." I exhaled, a shuddering, trembling sigh, child. But then Dina leaned closer, trying to get a better look at him through the hospital room glass. And that's when my heart froze all over again. She gasped. Her hand flew to her mouth, eyes wide, brimming with tears. And child, Granny Tina's instinct screamed. She had seen something. Something familiar. Something buried deep in the folds of memory, something she could not yet place, but her soul knew. I watched her as she peered at him, confusion and horror battling with love and concern. And then, oh Lord, the moment that made my chest hurt, I saw it. Her hand trembled as she reached toward her arm, fingers brushing over a small, crescent-shaped birthmark. She whispered it aloud, barely audible. It's the same. Child, if you could have seen her face, you would have known the world had stopped turning. That light in her eyes, that mix of recognition and terror, it was something you don't forget. And there he lay, my son, still unconscious, blissfully unaware, with the very same mark etched into his skin. The universe had chosen this moment, this hospital room, to crack open the past like a walnut. I stepped closer, voice trembling but firm. "Dina, baby, you see what I see, don't you?" Her eyes snapped to mine, tears spilling freely now. "Granny, it can't be, it can't." Her words faltered, swallowed by sobs, disbelief, and the weight of truth clawing its way out. And child, let me tell you, in that hospital room, the past and present collided. Memories of teenage mistakes, quiet grief, sleepless nights, and buried secrets, all of it came rushing back. She had given him up 17 years ago, and now she was standing here, staring at the man her heart had grown to love, her own son. Granny Tina held her close, but not too close. Not yet. Some revelations need room to breathe, to sink in, to twist the stomach and tighten the chest in that delicious, terrifying way that makes you gasp for air and wish you could undo every choice. Baby, it's true. The secret. It's been living in the shadows all these years. She pulled back slightly, trembling. All this time. I didn't know. I didn't. Yes, baby, I said, voice low, rich, and carrying the weight of decades. You didn't know. And that's why life chose this moment, because the truth always finds its way, even when it's buried under years of silence. The nurse came in, breaking the spell, reminding us of reality. Monitors beeping, machines humming, life and death whispering in sterile tones. But child, even as the doctor spoke of vital signs and treatment plans, All I could see was Dina, face buried in her hands, sobbing, shaking, grappling with the revelation that would change her life forever. I watched as she looked again at my son. Her lips trembled. She traced her fingers lightly over the glass, as if reaching out could undo years of fate. And Lord, the irony, she had loved him, dated him, never knowing she was loving her own child. I knew I had to guide her. Some truths are too heavy to bear alone. So I pulled her aside, voice soft but unwavering. Baby, I know you're scared. I know it hurts. But this is the truth. And you will survive it. You will see him safe, and you will carry this with grace. Don't let regret drown you. Don't let fear steal your breath. Stand tall. Stand with truth. She looked at me, eyes red, quivering lips, nodding slowly. And child, Granny Tina can tell you this. This is the kind of moment that changes a life forever. That twists your soul, turns love inside out, and leaves every heart in the room trembling. As the night settled, the hospital quieted. My son slept, hooked to machines, unaware of the storm his presence had ignited. Dina sat beside him, silent, hands clutching mine, tears falling like rain. And me, Granny Tina, I felt the weight of responsibility, of protection, of guiding hearts through storms they never expected. Because, baby, secrets don't just whisper, they roar when the time is right. And tonight, in that hospital room, the past roared louder than ever. Child, this is where we leave it for now. My son recovering, Dina's heartbreaking and rebuilding at the same time, and Granny Tina standing, voice strong, guiding, protecting, waiting for the storm to settle. Because tomorrow, honey, the revelation will demand more than tears. It will demand choices, confrontations, and the kind of forgiveness only a soul can grant after betrayal touches it deep. So baby, you better hit that subscribe button. Don't just watch, stay, because if you miss the next chapter, you will be sitting alone, wondering what happened while hearts collided, secrets screamed, and lives changed forever. Don't be that one, baby. Don't say, I wish I had listened to Granny Tina. Tomorrow, child, tomorrow, the revelation explodes, tears fall, hearts collide, and the truth can't be ignored any longer. And you, yes you, watching will feel it in your bones. Child, if you think you've ever seen a grown woman crumble, you ain't seen nothing yet. I watched Dina break in ways that make your heart ache from the inside out. That hospital room. Lord, it was heavy, thick with unsaid words, buried secrets, and a truth no one was ready for. It happened the moment her eyes met that birthmark. My son lay there, breathing slow, unconscious, the steady rhythm of life machines keeping time. Dina leaned closer, her chest rising and falling, hands trembling like leaves in a storm. She whispered, barely audible, it's the same. And child, Granny Tina can tell you, when that recognition hits, it ain't just seeing, it's feeling. It's the soul whispering things your mind can't yet understand. All the years, all the pain, all the decisions, they collided in that single moment. I watched her face pale, and I knew, my heart sank, she had put the pieces together, even before she said it aloud. Memories flashed behind her eyes, the nights she cried over a child she thought she had lost, the dreams she buried under shame and fear, the longing that never left her. And now, here she was, staring at the living embodiment of what she had given away at 17. Her lips trembled, and she brought her hand to her mouth. Tears ran freely, streaking down her cheeks, hot and bitter. No, it can't. This isn't real, she gasped. Her voice was raw, jagged, a mix of disbelief and horror. Child, I stepped closer, my own chest tight. I had raised him, loved him like my own, but never once had I imagined a moment like this. I whispered gently, baby, it's true. The secret, it's the truth you've carried all these years. Her eyes snapped to mine, wide, searching, desperate for confirmation. You adopted him? You raised him as your son? Her voice cracked under the weight of revelation. Yes, baby. I did. I loved him, I raised him, and I protected him, but I never let you know. Not until the time was right. My voice shook, carrying decades of secrets and the heaviness of this moment. She staggered backward, hands pressed to her chest, as though trying to hold herself together. I can't. I've been dating him. Her words tumbled out, fragmented, raw, unfiltered. Child, it was like watching a storm in human form. I took a step closer, voice low, strong, carrying the wisdom of years. Yes, baby, and I know this hurts. But you need to breathe. You need to see him safe, alive, and remember, this ain't about blame. It's about truth. Flashbacks hit her like a freight train. Child, I saw them in her eyes, the memories of that pregnancy at 17, the fear she'd felt holding a secret that seemed too heavy for her small shoulders. The nights she cried herself to sleep, wondering if the child she gave away would ever forgive her, or if he'd even survive. And now that child was grown, sitting right there, her heart tethered to him without her knowing. Her sobs shook her body, uncontrollable, rattling the air in the sterile hospital room. She sank to the floor beside the bed, clutching my hand, burying her face. Granny, why didn't you tell me? Why didn't anyone tell me? Child, Granny Tina's chest ached. I knelt beside her, pressing my hands over hers, holding her as though my arms could shield her from the tidal wave of emotions crashing in. Baby, we didn't tell you because we were protecting you. We were protecting him. We were protecting all of you from a pain you weren't ready to carry. But the truth, it always finds a way. She raised her head slightly, eyes red-rimmed, filled with disbelief and sorrow. He's my son. The one I gave away. The one I've been loving, dating all this time. Lord, why? Why did this happen? I shook my head slowly, tears brimming. Life has a way of placing you in moments you ain't ready for. But baby, this is truth. And truth, it's heavy, yes. But it's also powerful. It demands recognition, reckoning, and honesty. Her gaze fell to my son. Even unconscious, even unaware, his presence held a gravity she couldn't ignore. She traced her fingers across the glass separating them, whispering, I've loved you. I didn't know. Child, at that moment, the weight of every decision, every secret, every act of love and protection I'd carried hit me squarely in the chest. I thought about the nights I held him as a baby, the first steps, the first words, the first heartbreaks. All of it had led to this room, this revelation, this raw, trembling confrontation with fate. Dina's body shook as she stood, pacing, grappling with the impossible reality. She ran her hands through her hair, muttering, how could this be? How did it happen? I followed her slowly, voice steady, carrying the gravitas of a woman who's seen storms and survived them. Baby, listen. You didn't know. And this ain't your fault. None of this is your fault. But now you have a choice. You can let despair consume you, or you can breathe and live with this truth, honor it, and let it guide your next steps. She froze, eyes brimming, staring at me like I held the answers she needed to survive. And him? What about him? I gestured to my son, still unconscious, his chest rising and falling steadily. He's alive, baby. He's safe. And one day, when he wakes, he'll need the truth too. But right now, you need to survive the revelation yourself. Gather your strength, because the storm ain't over. Her knees buckled, and she sank onto the chair beside the bed, burying her face in her hands. Child, the room was silent except for the beeping machines, her sobs, and my own steady breathing. I let her cry, because some tears have to fall before hearts can heal. And then, oh Lord, child, then came the whispered realization that shattered her completely. All these months, all this love, and I didn't know I was dating my own child. She couldn't finish. Her voice broke like fragile glass. I held her closer, whispering, baby, listen to me. You ain't a villain. You didn't know. And what you feel, love, confusion, guilt, it's all valid. But you must separate guilt from responsibility. You can't undo what you didn't know, but you can face it, acknowledge it, and move forward. Child, I saw it. The recognition, the horror, the heartbreak, all wrapped in a shivering human body. And I knew then that the next days would be heavy. Conversations would be raw, truths would spill, hearts would clash, and emotions would run wild. But that hospital room, that room had witnessed the impossible, a past buried resurrected, a secret unveiled, and a young woman facing the deepest truth of her life. I pressed a hand to her shoulder, voice low and steady. Baby, you will survive this. You will breathe through the pain. You will speak to him, and when you do, speak with honesty. Cry if you must. Shout if you must. But don't let shame steal your breath. That child, your son, he deserves your courage. And you deserve grace. She nodded slowly, tears streaming down her cheeks, and whispered, Granny. I don't even know where to start. I smiled softly, though my heart ached. Start with truth, baby. Start with truth. That's all you need. Child, let me tell you something. Some truths hit like lightning, and this one? It hit hard. But it also carried the seeds of healing, of understanding, of redemption. The storm had come, it had roared, and now it was time to rebuild from the ashes. And honey, that's why you better stay right here. Stick with Granny Tina, Voices of Granny Tina. You don't want to miss how this unfolds, how hearts collide, how love and betrayal fight, and how secrets from decades ago change lives in ways you cannot even imagine. Hit that subscribe button now, child, because missing the next chapter will haunt you, and you know Granny Tina always speaks the truth. Tomorrow, baby, things get real. Real messy. Real raw. And by the time this story is through, you're going to feel it in your bones. Let me tell you. There are moments in life when time stops, and you feel the weight of every choice you ever made pressing down on your chest. That hospital room had been heavy before, but now, oh Lord, now it was charged, electric with truth waiting to explode. Dina sat in the corner, hands clutched tight, knuckles white, eyes red from crying. My son, lying there pale and bandaged, tried to make sense of the whispers and the wide-eyed looks passing between us. And me? Granny Tina, heart hammering, lungs tight, standing like a sentinel between past, present, and the storm that had arrived like a hurricane in human form. I took a breath and spoke, my voice strong but steady, the kind that demands attention without screaming. Dina, you need to hear this. All of it. The truth. No sugar, no hiding. She looked at me, eyes wide, trembling lips. Granny. I don't know if I can. You can, I interrupted gently. Because the only way forward is to face it. Right now. You, him, me. All of us. No more secrets. Her hands flew to her mouth. She shook her head violently. I was dating him, my own child. The one I gave up. Yes, I said, letting the words hang heavy in the air. You didn't know. And that's the truth you must carry. But it's the truth nonetheless. My son stirred, blinking slowly, pain and confusion flickering across his face. Granny, what's happening? He asked weakly. His voice carried the innocence of not knowing, and that innocence cut me deeper than a knife. I walked to him, gently lifting his hand. He's your mother, I said, gesturing toward Dina. The woman who gave birth to you. The one you've been loving, dating, unknowingly. He froze. The color drained from his face. What are you saying? Dina broke down completely, tears streaming. I gave you up. I was 17. I didn't know you would end up like this, loving me, not knowing. Her voice trembled, cracking under the weight of decades. I've been living with this secret since I was 17. The room went still except for the soft hum of machines and the ragged breathing of two people drowning in shock and disbelief. Time itself seemed to pause. I stepped closer, voice calm, deliberate. Listen to me, both of you. None of this was your fault. The love, the confusion, the choices made, they were made in ignorance, but they're here now. And how you respond determines what comes next. My son's eyes filled with tears, anger, and a swirl of emotions too big for his young face. I don't know if I can forgive. I don't know if I can even look at her the same way again, he said, voice thick. Dina's knees buckled, and she fell to the floor, hands clasped together like she was praying for mercy. Baby, I didn't know. I swear I didn't know. I've been living with this secret since I was 17. Her words tumbled out, fractured, desperate. Please, please, tell me you can forgive me. I knew this moment would break hearts, test souls, and shake the foundations of all of us. I knelt between them, putting a hand on each of their shoulders. Forgiveness starts with understanding. You must hear her. You must see her pain. And she must see yours. This is where truth becomes a bridge, not a weapon. He pulled his hands away, shaking his head, tears streaming. I don't even know what love is anymore. How do I process this? I swallowed hard, voice strong, steady. You process it one step at a time. You breathe. You speak. You let yourself feel. And most importantly, you remember, the bond between a mother and child can never be erased, no matter the circumstances. Dina looked up at me, eyes wide, searching for answers. Granny, I don't even know how to face him. How do I tell him I raised him wrong? I shook my head slowly, a deep sigh escaping me. You didn't raise him wrong. You gave life. That's all any mother can do at 17. And now we all navigate what comes next. You don't erase the past. You understand it, you honor it, and you move with courage. Her hands flew to her face again, sobs breaking free. I thought I was protecting him, letting someone else raise him, giving him a better life. But I never imagined he would end up like this, loving me, not knowing. My son buried his face in his hands, shaking, the raw pain of revelation rolling through him. All this time I thought I knew love, and now it's a lie. I placed a firm hand on his shoulder. It ain't a lie. Love isn't a lie. Love is what brought us here. Love is what survived. But now, it's tangled, yes. Confusing, yes. But love can be rebuilt, reshaped, and understood. That's what this is about. Dina's sobs slowed, her head lifting slightly, red-rimmed eyes meeting his. I can't undo the past. But I can. I can be honest. I can tell you everything I feel. I can try to make this right, even if you never forgive me. My son looked at her, eyes wide, pain and confusion mingling with something else, hesitance, curiosity, the faintest glimmer of understanding. I need time. I don't know. But I hear you. And I see your pain. I saw it, the hesitation, the fear, the raw humanity in both of them. And I knew then that the fallout would ripple through our family, testing alliances, loyalties, and hearts. The tension thickened as relatives began to arrive, drawn by whispers, hospital calls, the scent of a storm breaking. Aunt Marissa, ever the skeptic, marched in, eyes sharp. Tina, what is going on? Why are they crying like this? I stepped forward, voice calm but unwavering. Marissa, the truth came out. It's heavy, it's painful, but it's the truth. And it's time we all reckon with it. She blinked, disbelief flashing across her face. Truth? What truth? I gestured to Dina and my son, still trembling, still raw. The truth that life has brought us here. That love and secrets collided in ways no one expected. That this young man is the son Dina gave up at 17. And now I paused, letting the words settle. Now they are facing each other, their hearts entangled in a revelation too big for one person to bear. Marissa's jaw dropped, and I saw the other family members murmur, gasps filling the room like thunder. Alliances shifted, whispers grew, and the weight of decades-old secrets pressed down like a storm cloud ready to burst. In that room, I realized something crucial. Confrontation is never neat. Consequences don't arrive politely. They crash through walls, shatter illusions, and leave everyone gasping for air. And this confrontation, it was the mother of them all. Dina stepped forward, trembling, voice raw. I don't know what comes next. I just know. I have to be honest. I have to show him I didn't mean harm. That love, that care, it's real, even if it's complicated. My son looked at her, eyes wide, pain and confusion mingling with something else, a faint glimmer of understanding. I I need time. But I hear you. I see your pain. That's how healing begins. Not in perfect reconciliation, not in instant forgiveness, but in seeing each other, speaking truth, and letting the heart begin its slow work. I stepped back, letting them breathe, letting the room absorb the weight of the revelation. The storm had passed, but the aftermath lingered. Tensions would rise, tears would fall, and hearts would crack and mend in ways no one expected. And that is why you need to stick right here with Granny Tina, Voices of Granny Tina. You don't want to miss how this unfolds, how hearts are tested, how love fights through betrayal, and how family secrets, when unearthed, demand reckoning. Hit that subscribe button now, because missing the next chapter, you'll regret it for the rest of your life. Tomorrow, we see the fallout ripple through our lives, the consequences of love, secrets, and choices decades in the making. And you better believe, it's going to be messy, raw, and unforgettable. There are moments in life when the storm has passed, and you finally feel the sun's warmth on your skin again, but even then, the air is heavy with memory. That hospital room, once electric with shock and heartbreak, had quieted, leaving nothing but the echoes of truths that had been buried too long. And now here we stood, bruised, trembling, but alive with possibility. I looked at them, Dina and my son, and I saw what the weight of decades can do to a person. Their eyes, red and puffy from tears, still held glimmers of hope, of forgiveness yet to come. Healing doesn't come in a rush. It's not fast. It crawls through your heart like a patient river, eroding the jagged edges of pain, smoothing over the sharp stones of betrayal. And if you're not careful, it can slip away before you even notice it. Dina's voice was soft, shaky, carrying the tremor of raw guilt. I never imagined that life would circle back like this. That I would meet him again, and it would be under these circumstances. She paused, taking a deep breath, trying to steady herself. I didn't know. I couldn't have known. But I can't undo what happened. All I can do is be honest, be present, and try to show that the love I have, it's real, even if it's tangled with mistakes from the past. My son, still weak from the accident but fierce in spirit, nodded slowly. I don't know if I can fully process this yet, he said, voice low, rough with emotion. But I see the truth now. I see your heart, your pain, and I'm willing to try. To understand. To let this be something more than just betrayal. That's when I knew something crucial. Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. It doesn't mean pretending the hurt didn't happen. Forgiveness is about seeing clearly, even through the fog of heartbreak, and choosing to rise above it, step by step. I stepped between them, my voice firm but warm. Look at each other. See the person who made mistakes, yes, but also see the person who loved, who fought, who endured. That love doesn't vanish because secrets surfaced. It changes shape. It survives, even when we think it's impossible. Dina swallowed hard, tears streaming, and reached for his hand. I want to make this right. I don't know how to undo the past, but I want to move forward with honesty, with respect, with love. He hesitated, hands hovering over hers. Pain, confusion, and cautious hope danced in his eyes. I don't know what the future holds, he said softly. But I'm willing to try. I need time, yes, but I see you now. And I'm willing to start building something new, even from the ashes. That moment, right there, was the beginning. Not a grand resolution, not a magic fix, but a start. The kind of start that comes after storms, after heartbreak, after truth lays bare every secret you thought would never surface. I watched them, breathing deeply, letting the room soak in the fragile truths. And I thought about all the lessons this life had taught me, about love, about fate, about choices we make, and about the power of holding your head high even when your heart feels shattered. You see, I said, voice low, reflective, life has a way of circling back. It teaches us lessons we didn't ask for, but that we need. It brings people together in ways that are messy, complicated, and painful, but in those moments, you find out who you truly are. And you find out who is truly with you. Dina looked at me, her eyes red but shining. Granny, I don't know how to thank you. For everything. For raising him, for holding us together, for letting the truth unfold in a way that didn't destroy us completely. I smiled, a soft, tired smile. Honey, I did what any woman would do. I protected, I guided, and I let love lead. But this is yours now. You have to take it and make it your own. My son reached out, placing a tentative hand on her shoulder. We're going to need time. And patience. And maybe some therapy. And a lot of conversations. But we'll figure it out. I nodded, heart swelling. That's all you can do sometimes, figure it out one step at a time. Life doesn't hand you neat packages. It gives you fire, storms, heartbreak, and joy, all tangled together. And if you survive it, if you keep walking, you find peace, not perfect peace, but enough to breathe again. As we left the hospital, walking slowly into the soft afternoon light, I felt it, the quiet, fragile strength of healing. The kind of strength that comes from truth, honesty, and a willingness to forgive. That day, I realized that even the deepest betrayals, even the secrets that tear families apart, can be met with courage, compassion, and love reborn. And to you, sitting there watching, if you've been betrayed, if you've suffered loss, if your heart is heavy with secrets you can't let go of, know this: you are not alone. You can forgive, you can heal, and you can reclaim your life. It doesn't happen overnight, and it doesn't happen without effort, but it is possible. So I ask you now, yes, you, hit that subscribe button. Don't just watch. Engage. Lean into these stories. Because if you walk away today, missing these lessons, missing these truths, you'll regret it. Life doesn't give you second chances to witness transformation like this every day. We post real stories every single day, stories of love, betrayal, resilience, and reclamation. Don't just scroll past. Stay. Watch. Learn. Grow. And remember, even after the storm, you can walk into the sunlight with your head high, your heart open, and your spirit whole. The horizon is yours. The healing is yours. The forgiveness is yours. And Granny Tina? I'll be here, telling it like it is, every step of the way. Life don't hand you neat little packages with ribbons and bows. No, it hands you storms, heartbreak, secrets, and choices that will test the very fiber of your soul. And honey, if you've been sitting there thinking, I can't survive this, I'm here to tell you you can. You might walk bruised, battered, and trembling, but you can rise. You can claim your power. You can stand in your truth, no matter how messy it gets. Watching all of this unfold, seeing the hurt, the betrayal, the love that refused to die, it reminded me that family, life, and love are complicated. But in the midst of all that chaos, there is one thing we can control: our own hearts, our own choices, and how we move forward. I saw it in my daughter-in-law, Dina, and my son. I saw it in myself. I watched hearts crack open, walls crumble, and yet, courage rise from the ashes. Now listen close. You out there scrolling, watching, carrying burdens no one knows about, hear me when I say this. Your story matters. Your struggle matters. The pain you've swallowed, the tears you've hidden, the silent battles you've fought, they're all part of your power. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. And don't let yourself forget that. You've seen the storm through my eyes. You've walked the halls of secrets, betrayal, and heartache alongside me. Now, look at your own life. Recognize the courage that's been hiding in the cracks of your days. Recognize the strength you've been calling on, even when no one else sees it. That strength? That is your voice. That is your power. That is your story. And honey, your story deserves to be heard. So I'm gonna ask you, no, I'm gonna insist. Hit that subscribe button. Don't just sit there and watch. Don't let these stories slip by without you claiming your place in them. Voices of Granny Tina is more than a channel. It's a sanctuary for the hurt, the hidden, the overlooked, the strong women and men who've survived storms, just like mine. Your story belongs here too. And here's the thing, sugar. If you leave without subscribing, if you walk away thinking, I'll come back later, I promise you, one day you'll wish you hadn't. Because the lessons, the truth, the guidance, if you miss it now, you might spend years searching for it in the wrong places. Don't let that be you. Take this moment. Claim your story. Step into your courage. Healing don't happen all at once. Forgiveness don't come easy. But showing up, listening, leaning in, and believing in yourself, that changes everything. And I want you to be a part of this community. I want you to hear stories, share stories, and find the strength you didn't know you had. So go on. Hit that subscribe button. Turn on your notifications. Stay with me. Let's walk through storms together. Let's uncover truths together. Let's rise, grow, and heal together. Because, honey, if Granny Tina can tell her story and survive it, then so can you. And you deserve nothing less than your full, unshaken, unapologetic life.